Hello and welcome back to Creative Instruct. In today's episode, we're gonna look on how to create nice UI element, a component, actually this text input field. And the nice thing about this one is that we can easily change the state static to hover or active. Then again, an input text field can also have error states or disabled states. How to easily manage the elements like the leading icon or the trailing icon. I would want to easily swap the first one. Yeah, let's swap it maybe for a phone icon to be able to do that. Or if I just want to show or hide some of the icons here or the labels, that would also be possible. Okay, how to convert those elements in a property to easily change new label, yeah, the name of that element, and as a bonus, yeah, how to keep those elements flexible enough. Okay, this is the starting point. I have a couple of icons which I already converted to components. They are from the material design icon set, or create some icons on your own to test with, but do convert them to components. You should have this purple diamond symbol. Then I have a basic text string which will act as a label, and another text string placeholder, of course a rectangle which is supposed to be the input text field, 300 by 40 the size, and a white background with a subtle stroke. Now let's see, how would those align and work? Well, the label would be somewhere up here, okay, then the text placeholder somewhere inside. Then I need a leading icon, we said, so probably email, and a trailing icon. That could work as a button. By holding down shift, I'm gonna select those three elements inside. We're gonna go from inside of the input text field to the outside. Group those, Control G, Command G, and hit add auto layout. Okay, I'm gonna hit the plus button, auto layout, and they're distributed, but I wouldn't want such a large space between them. So let's try to set it to 8 pixels. Okay, or you can do it from here, from the auto layout properties. And I would want, when this extends, the icon or trailing icon to be pushed. Okay, so that means on placeholder, select the placeholder and set it to fill container on the horizontal, and we can also set it on vertical. Make sure that the text is aligned vertical middle. Now when I would extend this frame, actually the frame will extend automatically with the input text field. That trailing icon will be pushed, but it won't be, this doesn't apply for the leading icon. And that's what we wanted. Let's give it a name. I'm gonna call it inside content, and this time let's also select the rectangle. So I have this auto layout frame selected and the rectangle, and I'm gonna hit again auto layout, and Figma makes a new frame. Okay, and this frame again needs to behave in a certain way. Let's check the paddings. Okay, the spacings left and right, top and bottom, looks fine. 8 pixels everywhere. I'm happy with that. And let's give it a name, input field. Okay, that's gonna need a bit of testing, so let's see if I would resize it. Oh, for some reason this inside frame just stays at that size. It's fixed. I would want it to fill the parent. So now when I do resize outer parent, it plays nicely. That's the kind of thing I was after. Good. And a final step would be to select everything. So the input field and the label, and again hit auto layout. Make sure it's on the vertical. Spacing should be 8, and let's give it a name, input. Okay, so my input has an input label and an input field, and that input field has those elements which can appear or not. We're gonna see soon. one more thing, I would want the label. Yeah, so select the label, make sure it fills the container. So now when I do test, the label fills, but I also need to do the same thing for the input field. Don't want it fixed, I want to fill the parent, and the parent is this newly created frame. Okay, so make sure that, okay, before you convert this entire thing to a component, the elements inside behave nice. Okay, you have some predictability. Okay, select this entire auto layout frame and up here create a component. And my component just took the name of that frame, it named it input, and it sent out those original elements, those icons, which were components on their own. And it makes sense, okay, because it doesn't need this being the newly component and having nested components. Yeah, it works with instances of other components. So if I would want to change the color over here of this icon, I should edit the parent, just like that. That's just a quick reminder, guys. Okay, having this new component, let's create an instance, because you're gonna have multiple input fields in your design. Just go up here and select input or to assets and click on input, and you're gonna click and drag, and you're gonna have a new element, and they're not the same. Okay, you can check over here. Just gonna bring them down. One is the parent, the original, the other one is just an instance. It has different symbol, this empty diamond. Let's see how we can make those elements appear or disappear. I'm gonna select the label on the parent, and from the right where it says layer, click once and create a property. Let's give it a name. I'm gonna say show label. Okay, and it's a true or false. What does that mean? When I'm gonna work with an instance, this element, this toggle button will appear now, and I can switch it on or off. Yeah, when it's on, it shows that label. When it's off, that label is hidden. Let's do the same thing for the icon. I'm selecting this first icon, going towards layer, and create property and say show lead icon. Okay, same thing, show trail icon. Okay, and for the placeholder, let's just make it the same. A property show placeholder. Testing, okay, because we want to test in small increments in case we have an error to address it sooner than later. Okay, and those do behave as expected. Okay, I can toggle on or off multiple or each of them individually. One more nice thing that I need to tell you, what you can do when you have text, you can actually create text properties. So you're gonna go down here to content on the parent component. Again, you make sure that you're on the parent component, and let me make it back to regular. I'm on the parent component, I'm selecting the input label, and over here down on the right where it says content, create a property and just give it a name, say name label. Now for the placeholder, again select it, go down here where it says content, create property. This is a text property, it's different than a Boolean property, which is just a true or false. Let's say name placeholder. Now when you have an instance, you can just edit the labels, the naming here. I can say address as the label, and as a placeholder enter email. Okay, and that's really practical. Okay, when you need to work with longer forms. Oh, a real powerful thing that if you need to swap an icon, yeah, let's say I might need a telephone number. Yeah. I'm just gonna select this instance, the email, and maybe go with a different icon because I have them as components up here, so they're swappable. That's really nice. Okay, great. And this will avoid again a lot of tedious work and you messing up alignments or getting the positionings wrong. Let's select the parent component again, and this time keep your eyes here in the left on the layers tag. I'm just gonna go a second on the right, and but I have properties. I'm gonna hit the plus button and choose variant. Okay, what's the idea? We're gonna alternate slightly, yeah, the look of this element when something is gonna happen, like the user hovers over the input text field or tries to work with it to click and enter something. So first variant is gonna be the default or static, but look here, it says property 1 equals default. That's not entirely clear. Okay, what does it mean, property 1? So if I would have an instance and I go on the right where I had those nice toggle buttons and the properties I created earlier, I have this default options is the single one for now, and it says property 1. It's a bit misleading, so let's double click here and name it state. Okay, instead of property 1 is the state of that component, and the first one, let's call it static. Okay, now going back to the parent component, so on the input, hit this plus button to make the second variant. And the second variant, it's gonna be the same name, state, and it's gonna be named hover. And let's continue, and because we're here, let's create a third variant, and this one is gonna be named active. Let's slightly change how they look. So I'm gonna go on the hover option and find the rectangle there and change the stroke. Yeah, maybe we have a blue stroke. Then the one below, the active one, yeah, we can change the stroke to blue and the background maybe to a light blue. Let's try something over here, very soft. Now when you have an instance, you can easily change the state from here. There's a catch, so do pay attention. It's better to create the properties before the variants, from what I noticed, because you need to have the same name. Okay, if you would first create the variants and then you work on the properties, you might end up missing on a specific variant some of the properties declared previously, and you need to give them the same names. Okay, so do keep that in mind and feel free to experiment. Now, if you like the video, feel free to subscribe to the channel. I would really appreciate that, and give a thumbs up. I'll see you in the next episode.